Every atom in your body was once inside of an exploding star. Every proton in every atom in your body are the oldest particles in the universe. Your body is 99.9999% space. The universal language is mathematics. And the math that governs the universe is the same math that governs music theory. Octaves, harmonics, overtones. We lose the fact that we are magical beings in an infinite universe on the greatest journey of all time.
Welcome to Magic Academy podcast. Today with us is Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. He is the director of Neuroacoustic Center for Research. And he is also a musician, a sound composer. And today our conversation will explore how the power of sound, frequency can come together and help us to heal, restore. Beep, beep, beep. In front of you lands a spaceship. Out walks a very friendly alien. If you were to use one word or one sound or one movement to introduce yourself, what would that be?
Well, the universal language is mathematics. And the math that governs the universe is the same math that governs music theory. Octaves, harmonics, overtones. So I probably would just do some kind of an Om chant, some kind of a sound. Your voice has got, harmonics and overtones. Your voice sounds like you because of the harmonics and overtones that spin out from the tissue mass of your vocal cords, right?
Mhm.
So we can analyze that in a recording studio. I mean, I'm sitting in my recording studio right now. I don't have a living room. I've got a recording studio. So I could take you singing an Om sound and I could do a spectral analysis of your voice on my computer screen and see all the harmonics and overtones that makes your voice sound like you. As a matter of fact, it's called voice print. That's how the government can tell who's on a cell phone from a satellite. Voice print analysis. It's a fingerprint of your vocal
Vocal.
harmonics. But it's not just in your vocal cords, this is in all the tissues of your body. It's just we can blow wind across your vocal cords and analyze it there. But the same harmonic structures are in all your tissues. So if I just did an Om chant to some alien, I'm broadcasting an essential something about me and impacting them with sound waves. And it would be an interesting thing to see what happens back.
And then the Om sound is one of the peaceful tone you can ever say. It's very rounded and peaceful and calm sound.
It's
You can make.
it's really a it's like opening your mouth all the way down to so it's and that covers all the sounds. Well, it covers all the vowels ending in a consonant. A vowel is all the sounds that you make without touching your lips or tongue or teeth together. Your mouth is open and all you're doing is shaping your mouth and shaping the sound that's coming out. And since breath blowing across vocal cords is what makes the sound, and breath is closely associated with emotions, then it's the most emotional sounds you can make are vowels. And once you touch lips together or touch your tongue to your teeth or the roof of your mouth or any of the other things that you do, those are mental constructions. And that's why in numerology, vowels equal your emotions and consonants equals your mind. So really you're going, is this emotional thing? The most emotional vowel is but the whole thing of going, you're closing the mouth down and closing it down and closing it down until it hits the lips touching together and grounding you out. And so somebody said, well, how do you spell that? I don't know. M maybe, but that's not right. It's not Om. It's
A-O
the
A A
or something like
O
that.
M.
And when you do a voice analysis of somebody singing Om in the correct way, you get the maximum spread of harmonics and overtones from your vocal cords that you can see.
I think that's also one of the ways to fully relaxed. 'Cause I noticed that when I pronounced, I did feel like there's like a vibration around my head area, and sometimes it travels down a little bit. Sometimes if I
It's
I would assume if I do it long enough, my whole body will fine tune,
well, there's
doing the
a
fine
whole
tune.
bunch of things going on there. I mean, first of all,
Okay.
breath and emotions are one, and by doing a continual Om chant over time, you are automatically doing a breath control. You're regulating your inhale, exhale. So you take a breath and you blow it out over a long period of time. So it's very similar to taking a breath in over, 4 seconds and breathing it out at 8, right?
Mm,
So you're doing a breath control. You're doing an emotional opening of awe down to N, where you ground emotions in your body. And in order to activate your your breathing and blowing your breath across your vocal cords properly, that's the vagus nerve. So it mainlines straight into resonating your vagus nerve with vibration, and the vagus nerve mainlines into the autonomic nervous system in the center of your brain and the hypothalamus, which is the master control system for all body parts. It's the master control program that tells organs and glands and biochemistry and meridians and all the rest of it how to synchronize and organize and function properly to be a healthy person.
mm. So it's a fine tuning. It's like a fine tuning process
It's fine
through
tuning
sound.
spirit and body and health. It's very
Wellness.
powerful. Um,
Holistic being. I love that. In our previous conversation, you were talking about the sound that we hear. It's the first sound is the first thing that we experience in our mom's body before we come out. Can you tell us the story about the
yeah,
importance of sound?
the sound has the use of sound in every culture on Earth, back to prehistoric times, has stood the test of time of being the number one premier technique used for healing and for expanding self awareness and consciousness. And various cultures have their own sound traditions. Tibetan bowls and the tin shas, the two little bells on a string, Chinese meditation gongs, chant, shamanic drumming practices and rattles and things like that. I mean, a didgeridoo, I mean, all of these different kind of sound technologies sort of have a way of cutting through and centering the mind, centering you. I believe that sound is the most powerful technology because it's the very first thing anyone ever experiences. So we're all sort of brothers and sisters baptized in sound in the
Mm,
womb, at 16 to 24 weeks, all five senses come online in the brain for the first time. The brain
mm,
development has happened up to a point where all five senses come online. At that point, your body is about the size of your hand,
mm.
and you're floating in body temperature fluid, amniotic fluid, so you're weightless.
Does our skin feel the watery
Yes,
environment?
yeah. The
Ah,
largest sense organ in your body is your skin.
mm,
Vibration sense is separate from hearing. So at 16 to 24 weeks, all five senses come online, but you're in the dark, so the eyes aren't working. Nose and mouth are filled with fluid, so those aren't working.
mm,
But sound, in the physics of sound travels through water 5 times better than it does through air. So really, you're in a float tank with vibration coming through the water right into your skin. Your vibration sense network is activated, and hearing is activated and is amplified. So the very first thing and the only thing we experience for 9 months is sound and vibration. Now, in the third trimester,
the
towards the end,
vibration coming from the skin and then the sound coming from the ear?
yes, yeah, yeah. So the water is inside your ear, pressed up against your eardrum, so the sound is amplified
Yeah,
water right into your eardrum, so you can hear it, and it's
yeah.
pressed up against your skin, and your skin has billions of little sensors There's 4 discrete nerve bundles buried in different depths of your skin. And they've all got
Mm.
fancy schmancy names like Meissner's corpuscles and Ruffini end organs and a bunch of, there's 4 different ones. And each of those is sensitive to a discrete range of vibrational frequencies that it processes.
Mm.
And among all 4, that range is 0.3 hertz to 500 hertz. So that's what your skin, that's what your body considers to be vibration sense and the sense of touch. 0.3 hertz to 500 hertz. Now, that's communicated into the posterior part of the spinal cord. The nerve tracts in the spinal cord are 5 times larger than any other sense in the spinal cord. So it must be important, or the body wouldn't have developed so much
So
real
like
estate.
here at the back, like here.
At the back of your spinal cord, there's 2 huge tracts called cuneatus and gracilis that transmit vibration sense into neurons in your brainstem. And that's the point where it crosses over 80% to the other side, to the opposite hemisphere. But it continues all the way up through the upper brainstem, right into the center of the brain, through very important structures like the cerebellum and a bunch of other things. And it's a separate and distinct system that has amazing healing properties all on its own. Even if you're deaf and you can't hear with your ears, amazing things happen by exposing you to vibrational frequencies into your skin. So that was the reason I developed a sound chair and a sound table with speakers in it, so we could pump these low frequencies right into your body within that range that these vibration sense organs in your skin are there to receive. And then we combine that with headphones so that we get the full range of hearing, 20 to 20,000 hertz, and we link those 2 together so they synchronize. And there's huge healing benefits from that.
And you call it biotuning?
Biotuning that's part of biotuning, yes, is to synchronize the brain and the nervous system in various ways through the autonomic nervous system. Biotuning is basically a high-tech way of using sound to balance the master control centers in the center of the brain that govern all my body's systems and tell them what to do. And that system is the autonomic nervous system, the automatic system that controls everything under the hood without me knowing what's going on up here in my rational thinking mind. They're separated on purpose. Nothing in the body is by accident. Everything is on
By
purpose
design.
by design. And when you study sort of a medical level of anatomy and physiology and neuroscience, is continually impressed how mind-blowingly perfected the system has worked out how to do this and how to get the most work with the least amount of energy expended. So as complex as the body might be, you've got skeletal and muscle and organ and gland and biochemistry and meridians and chakras and emotions and all the rest. As unimaginably complex as that system is, and the system that controls it all and monitors all those systems and sends signals back out to them to keep them balanced and harmonized, which is the autonomic nervous system. As complex as it all is, the software program inside that biocomputer that's controlling it all really runs from 2 very simple principles, 2 very simple rules that govern it all. Rule number 1, survive at all costs.
Funny.
There's nothing more important than that. I mean, if you don't survive, then what's the point, right?
That's true.
So
Exist
survive
first.
at all costs. Rule number 1, survive at all costs. That's the reason why when you feel threatened, the sympathetic nervous system turns on and pulls all available energy that's possible from every system in your body and puts it in your muscles to fight for your life. It's an all-out effort where you're giving it your absolute best, to your best attention
Escape
to
danger.
survive. To
Survive.
survive. So it means that the reservoir of energy in your body is emptied out. The energy is pulled from your gut, elimination system, immune system, higher brain centers, and dumped into your muscle to fight for your life. A whole host of other things happen. Your adrenals fire and raise your blood pressure, and you liberate extra glucose to be super strong and all that. It's a straw of fire that burns out quickly. It's all going to be
Mm-hmm.
over in a few minutes. And then the sympathetic goes back to zero and the
Home.
reservoir fills back up again
Mm-hmm.
and all the energy goes back to where it's supposed to go. And that's called
Homeostasis.
that's homeostasis.
Homeostasis. Oh,
That's
I see.
homeostasis. That's where
Mm.
sympathetic and parasympathetic are off. Neither one of them is drawing energy from the reservoir for some purpose. So there's only two big purposes. One is survive, and the other one is digest and eliminate and relax. So let's say that, my body is designed for slow adaptive changes on planetary scales over multiple generations. This slow adaptive evolutionary process takes thousands and thousands of years, but that's how we're designed. But we're not designed for what's been happening on Earth in the last 200 years. Since the Industrial Revolution, everything is accelerating, accelerating, and now we're in the information age, and now we're in the computer age, and soon we're into the AI age, and it's all accelerating. The pace is getting bigger, and the forces in the 21st century that we're exposed to, we're going to need another 10,000 years of biological evolution to
And
adapt to
we
them.
and we constantly, like talents, leaders, entrepreneurs, we constantly feel a sense of stress, and some people
Yeah,
burn out, some people manage to survive,
yeah,
but later on they got caught up with all the stress that they managed to kind of suffocate or hide behind. um
yeah.
how
The
yeah
stresses,
how
the stresses of the 21st century are unimaginably abnormal. The
Yes,
body was designed for, our bodies right now were designed for 10,000 years ago, before civilization as we know it. When we lived in a tribe and we woke up with the sun in a natural bio clock thing,
beautiful.
grab your spear, and go chase some little animal. And
That's
when
fun.
the animal sees you
I
and
would
you see
rather
the
to collect.
animal, sympathetic turns on for both of you. You run around, and in 5 minutes you're going to be exhausted. So if I catch the animal, then I can cook the animal and eat the animal, and then the parasympathetic turns on, and that empties my reservoir into my gut. And when that's over, it comes back. Sympathetic, parasympathetic are supposed to be living in a state of balance in the center at zero
Mm.
stress in the system. Zero stress in the system where I feel safe. The workday in the 21st century? No. Now we've got alarm clocks. So our natural rhythm connection with the universe is gone. And we're racing around and getting in a traffic jam and going to a stupid job that doesn't pay enough money. And then there's 7 o'clock news and junk food. We're not eating food anymore. We're eating chemical concoctions with flavor enhancers. So
Question.
yeah,
When you
yeah.
say when you say homeostasis, when you say zero stress in the body, does that mean we reach a state of homeostasis?
Hom- Homeostasis
Homeostasis.
means a pure state of balance, zero stress at the core of my system. The system that governs all my systems has to be at a zero stress point where my survival needs have been met and I feel safe, so that all of the energy is drained back into this big reservoir. And once it's in that state where things are balanced, zero stress, and I feel okay, and the reservoir is full, only under those circumstances can the internal physician program be back in place running the program.
It's like
And
a
that program,
musician.
yeah, and that program is collecting signals from all the different systems of my body, sending signals back out to keep them all balanced and harmonized, sending signals out to rebuild tissues. I mean, it's this thing that's going on. And if I feel threatened and the sympathetic turns on and empties out that reservoir, then the internal position program can no longer work. It's disengaged because there's no energy in the system to run that machine anymore. I'm running a different machine, a survival machine.
How does biotuning help us to catch up with the revolution that the current
Yeah.
age calls
Yeah.
for and reduce the chronic stress that everybody is feeling or help us to avoid burnout at all costs?
Yeah, it's a good question. The global medical community and the global scientific community agree stress is the cause of disease. Period.
It's
Unless you're hit by
imbalance.
unless you're hit by a truck or something, which is
Mm.
different. But
Hope not.
there's
I hope
a
everybody who's listening to it stay safe.
so so there's an organic biological intelligence within each of us that knows how to grow your body out of two cells, differentiate the tissues, and then run it on automatic without me thinking about it up here. There's a deep sort of cosmic intelligence behind that. Somebody's reading the blueprint to design my body and differentiate the tissues. Somebody made the blueprint. And if I dig deep enough down inside myself, that's who I find there. And that's why I would want to do some kind of practice like various types of meditation that exist throughout the world where people have been trying to find who that person is, the real me, the real I in my deepest part. Yes.
How does music play a part?
In modern medicine, how you evaluate your your health in its highest possible level is this system called heart rate variability. Now, many people have heard of heart rate variability because of the Fitbit you wear or the Aura Ring. Many people have heard of HeartMath that uses an ear clip. HeartMath is a biofeedback system. It's a bit different, but those systems rely on there's two basic big systems of heart rate variability. One is the professional medical system, and one is the layman's system. The layman's system uses like a little finger clip or a wristband
Oh,
or something on your ear or an aura ring. And what that's measuring is the expansion and contraction of the arteries and the arterioles as the heart is pumping. So as the heart muscle squeezes the blood out, it makes
the
the arteries expand
and
and contract and expand and contract as the heart beats. And that's what the Fitbit and the Oura Ring and the HeartMath are using. It's called a PPG sensor, pulse
PPGs.
sensor. And what you're trying to measure is the space between each heartbeat. Heart rate variability is measuring the space between each heartbeat in microseconds. And the more irregular the space between each heartbeat, the more healthy you are. Now, for me, when I first heard that, I thought, wait a second, it should be the more perfect they are.
Yes. Yes,
But it
I saw
turns,
it.
but it turns
Consistency is
out that
key.
the more exact the space is between each heartbeat, like a metronome, becomes the world's most accurate predictor of your death by heart attack. And that's why heart rate variability is the gold standard in modern medicine as the number one most accurate way of assessing your current state of health and predicting your death by any disease process. Music theory all has to do with precise tuning frequencies between different notes on a piano, like that piano back there, right?
Louis
All those
Hayes.
different notes. All those different notes represent exact frequencies in relation to the next note. It's a mathematical relationship between frequencies that are harmonious, that obey the laws of harmonics and overtones. And so when you align different frequencies together in a certain ratio with each other, the waveforms fit together in a mathematical way that is very pleasing, and we call that a chord, all invented by
Harmony.
Pythagoras off the island of Samos, right? Yeah. The whole idea of harmonics and overtones and octaves and how the universe conforms to the same rules, the atomic structure of all the elements in the periodic table, all are all structured according to the rules of harmonics and overtones. The atoms in the periodic table marching across different columns is an octave, and their structures are all based on harmonic ratios. They predicted two atoms 10 years before they were discovered. They knew exactly what they were going to look like. They just carried the math forward of the music theory, right? So now when I find this frequency with the sound sweep, I know that every octave of that frequency is going to work, and every harmonic of that frequency is going to work. It's like if this is a wine glass, and I ping the wine glass, and I hear that note and I sing that note, the wine glass vibrates. Every octave of that note is also going to make the wine glass vibrate. So if the wine glass is tuned to 400 hertz, then 200 hertz will work, 100 will work, 50 will work, 25 will work, 12 and a half will work. All those octaves will work theoretically to infinity in both directions. So if I take this frequency that works for you that we found on the sound sweep and I divide it in half and play that frequency instead, I'll still get homeostasis on my screen. And if I calculate every octave and I independently only use each one of those octaves separately, I'll get homeostasis on my screen. And those lower octaves down to 20 hertz is what the sound chair is for, to activate the vibration sense network with 5 octaves. And each octave targets a different body density, right? There's an octave for fluids, an octave for bone, an octave for discs, an octave for muscles and organs, an octave for skin. If we go below 20 hertz and we've got our calculator and we're still working our calculator, right? Still dividing by octaves. Below 20 hertz, those are brainwave frequencies, states of consciousness that are highly specific, accurate to a couple of decimal points. That means now I have identified a key brain frequency in alpha and theta and delta and epsilon and gamma and all the rest that pick the lock of a neural program in your brain that's already hardwired there that causes zero stress in the autonomic nervous system and homeostasis and wakes up the healing program. So now we understand a deeper level of what sleep is all about. Because as my brain waves are slowing down from beta awake into alpha, dropping into the twilight zone between awake and asleep, my brain waves are slowing down and slowing down. They hit this key frequency and picks the lock of a program, makes it run, which causes homeostasis in the nervous system. The internal position program activates and heals my mental faculties in alpha. And then when it goes down into theta in dreaming sleep, it will the brain waves will slow down and hit this key frequency that unlocks a program that makes homeostasis happen and heals my emotions, or heals my physical body in delta, or my metaphysical body in epsilon, or in my grand cosmic focus in gamma, and that's a whole other discussion. We work with 21 different brain states, and the EEG communities are still stuck with the original 4, beta, alpha, theta, delta. Only 50% of them recognize gamma at this point. That was discovered in the late 80s. None of them recognize the default mode network, which was discovered in 2001, the most cutting edge brain science that's happening since then. Nobody recognizes epsilon, which I discovered in 1989, frequencies below delta. Nobody's recognizing the borderline states officially. Yet there's PubMed research articles that show, research with prodigy kids who've got an IQ of 180 and above. Let's hook them up to EEG in a massive study and see what's going on in their brains. Is there something different in these kids' brains than normal people? And the answer is yes. High IQ people have a maximum brain activity at the borderline between beta and alpha. And all of a sudden, you begin to realize that what used to be overlooked as brainwaves are slowing down from beta and they cross over that borderline and now they're alpha, there's a bigger difference between, 13 hertz beta and 12.9 hertz alpha. There's a big difference in just speed. There's a different waveform that shows up in alpha and in theta and in delta. It looks different. It's different. Some new program is turning on. But what was overlooked was that borderline that you pass over without noticing, that borderline itself is a brain state. That if you zoomed into that with a magnifying glass, you would see it opens up into a bandwidth of brain activity all of its own. There's a state of consciousness there. That means if you can identify the borderline for your brain, which we can do with biotuning, it's all based on homeostasis. Once we can identify the borderline for your brain, we can entrain you there and increase your IQ. The borderline between alpha and theta is, somewhere between 7 and 8 hertz. Well, that's where the Schumann resonance is at 7.83 hertz. That's where the flow state is at 7.5 hertz.
Will there be potential negative impact? Will the sound knock them out of their original homeostasis and cause them to potentially lose balance? Would there be a factor? Would there be ever a possibility of that?
Are you talking about with biotuning?
Mm-hmm.
Not with biotuning, because by definition, biotuning is based on looking for balance. Biotuning frequency
It's
causes
to
balance.
finding
It
your
doesn't go
balance.
away. It's already away, and it brings it back to zero.
Oh,
So by definition, there couldn't be a downside there. However,
I see.
everything in the world and every kind of therapy that you could ever imagine has dosage. Dosage is everything. It's a homeopathic idea, right? We require water to be alive, but you can drown. That's an overdose of water,
So it's the
right?
balance, the
Or
right amount.
there's an underdose of water and you die, right? So
Mm,
dosage is everything. And with sound, in the world of sound healing, dosage is how loud and how long, right? So even though this frequency brings this, if I played that frequency too loud, that would cause a stress response that would
yes.
overcome the balancing effect, right? Or if I put you on that sound chair with a good volume, but I left you there for a week, after 2 days, there would be a stress response because there's an overdose, right? So yes,
I
however,
see.
that might be a potential downside that would quickly recover because all you have to do is shut that off or turn the volume down or do it for less time and the system will right itself because you've got the frequency that makes it happen.
So, when you were about 11 years old, what did you enjoy creating and playing so much that time just disappeared for you?
When I was 11, I was living in England. My dad was in the military, so we were stationed there. And my big thing was electronic music. I had a huge vinyl record collection of electronic music. No rock and roll for me. I was a weird kid. And I wanted to make my own electronic music, but the only way you could do that is by having, a big piece of electronic equipment with wires that plug in, and that was way beyond me as an 11-year-old. So I took the family reel-to-reel tape recorder and started making recordings at fast speed and playing them back at slow speed. And then I wanted to multi-track sounds on top of each other, but you couldn't do that because, when you try to record over, it would just erase what was there before. So I took a screwdriver and took the recorder apart and found a little arm with a magnet on it that would go on top the magnetic tape as it went by. When I clicked the record button, that little arm would come down and erase whatever was there before. So I stuck a pencil in there so it couldn't do that. So I was doing multi-tracking when I was 11 and creating my own electronic music soundtracks. That turned
Whoa.
into $50,000 worth of recording studio that I'm surrounded by now, where I can do it electronically on a keyboard and I can take a microphone and record any sound and spread it across the keys and do a dolphin symphony or a Tibetan bowl symphony or a cricket symphony or uh, and that lended itself to something called primordial sounds, or certain types of sounds that have a deep effect on your unconscious mind through pattern recognition. If I take nature sounds in 3D, so your brain is tricked into thinking is real, and I slow them down so that only your unconscious mind can recognize it, you go into your safe place. Your body relaxes and goes into this state. So I build that into my
Primordial sound.
yeah, I build it into my soundtracks. That's recreating the womb environment as a
Mm.
sound technician and a physician, where we put everything in its 3D correct position, heart, respiration, large and small intestinal sounds, water sounds of the amniotic fluid, and
Layer them
recreate
together.
what the womb soundtrack sounded like to you as a fetus and not to as an adult on the outside. Very
From the
powerful impact
inside.
on the subconscious mind.
Are there, I mean, this is kind of a side question. Are there a soundtrack that activates childlike wonder for not kids because they already have it, for adults?
Yeah, I think that's the creative mind system, and that's in the category of creativity. That's a good one. Theta meditation system and
Meditation.
the creative mind system, where your
We
brain
can
goes
actually
for creativity. Where children spend most of their time is in theta, in creative mode, in
theta.
daydream mode, where they imagine, use their
Oh
imaginations.
yes,
And
imagination.
it's funny. My dog just barked because your dog barked.
I think they're saying hi remotely.
Dog and dogs are barking through the internet.
What role does childlike wonder play in your life?
Well, I mean, I'm 76 years old, and I'm telling you, it's been one of the hardest duties of my life to prevent myself from becoming a grown up.
I hear you.
You have to keep your child alive. It's for your spiritual benefit. It's tragic to lose your sense of wonder. The universe is a mind blowing place that I can go outside in my yard and take my shoes and socks off. So I'm standing in the grass and realize that the universe is all around me, that there's a whole universe under my feet. If I get on my hands and feet with a magnifying glass and look at that grass, down beneath those blades of grass, down to the ground, down there is a whole world down there. There's trails, there's pathways that creatures that look like they're from outer space are crawling around down there. There's beetles and ants. They look like aliens.
They do.
And there's little pebbles, but for them, they're big boulders. So from their standpoint, they're walking on these dusty trails in a dense forest of grass blades that stick 100 feet into the sky.
And sometimes there are giants who would step on their feet
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere on their
and
path.
this is just what's outside your door in the grass of your front lawn. That's just that. Never mind the infinity of the other stuff in various places on Earth that you might go to, like you go to, Zion National Park and blows your mind. And I mean, we get stuck. The worst thing that happens to people is to think that you're ordinary, to buy into the hypnosis that has taught us that we are ordinary people and the world is just an ordinary place and it's just job descriptions and cars and highways and grocery stores and television. I mean, we lose the fact that we are magical beings in an infinite universe on the greatest heroic journey of all time to find the true nature of myself, to be on that journey. Every atom in your body was once inside of an exploding star. Every proton in every atom in your body are the oldest particles in the universe. It's like, you know, your body is 99%, 99.9999% space, right?
I feel
And the
like
particle.
when I listen to you talk, I'm just like my face are glowing. I'm like just like
Yeah.
happy. It's like I'm just like having a kind of a sound bath through words and
Yeah.
ideas and I would like to keep your time in mind. So I'm gonna ask you the final question.
Yes.
What do you think is your magic?
I've been blessed to have, through a series of personal decisions and serendipity and, quote, accidents with a capital A, and serendipitous synchronicities of the universe, to have been landed in a position where I am taking maximum use of what makes me unique in the universe and using that for the betterment of people and making a living at it at the same time. It's it's the biggest blessing that you can have, is when you follow that path, the world opens up for you by itself. We're all on a path to, we're fated to walk a path, and that path is fated to come to a fork. And you're fated to make a free will decision at every fork that you come to. And the right fork is the yearning of my soul that tells me I should go that way. But I can't see how I'm going to make my life work that way. How am I going to make money? How am I going to pay the bills? The
I have
left
this
path
question
is the
all the
path of
time.
safety, where my adults in my life are saying, grow up and get a job. I can see a paycheck, a retirement. I can sort of linearly in my mind see how that's going to work. But the very first time in my life I choose the left path of safety instead of the right path of my soul, that's where the illness starts. The sickness of the soul begins there, because I'm on a circular little path that's going nowhere. I've abandoned the path of my spirit to find out the true nature of my soul. And I'm over here at some stupid job. But when I choose the right path, I have to choose it in a certain level of faith. And that faith is based on my basic understanding about how the universe works. Either the universe is a hostile place that I have to fight tooth and claw for my little spot and then defend that spot, and it's all up to me, or the universe has got my back.
Mm.
It's here for me. It's when I choose the right path, which is a tightrope across a chasm with no visible means of support and no ability to see how that's going to make a living for me or how I'm going to be safe. I go that way anyway because I know in my heart that the universe will be there for me. And it's not my job to figure that part out. My job is a dumbed down job: right fork, left fork, trust or don't trust. If I trust and make that decision, now I release it all and walk the tightrope and know the universe will not let me fall, that the universe will now turn the lights green, open the doors all by themselves. Synchronicities will show up. I'll meet just the right people I need to know. The wrong phone call is the right person. It just becomes bigger than you. You realize that your relationship to the universe is magnificently, amazingly arranged in a series of synchronicities where the whole world opens up in front of you like a flower that keeps opening. That the things that happen to you are so much bigger than you. And then what you accomplish from that is your life's purpose, which is glorious and amazing and mind blowing. And everybody is applauding you and giving you awards because of your genius. And you know in your heart of hearts that it all just happened. You can't take responsibility for it, except for the fact that you chose on an act of faith to step to the right path, and now you're in partnership with the universe at large. You have a heart connection with the soul of the universe, who loves you and is here for you. On
I
Friday
wish
night, Louise Hay and I would go out to dinner on a Friday night in San Diego. Now, the chance of getting a parking place, forget it, ain't going to happen. But we get in our car anyway and drive to our favorite little restaurant. I'm thinking in my mind, how am I going to handle this? I'll drop her off and go find a parking place, or what? What are we going to do? And then when I turn the corner, here's the favorite restaurant with a parking space in front of the restaurant. And there was always a parking space in front of the restaurant. And sometimes there was
every
two right
time.
next to each other. And I would go, Louise, how do you do that? And she would say, I don't know, life loves me. And I'm going, wow, that is all that's
That's her.
necessary. It's as simple as that. All of the fancy schmancy quantum physics ideas I got rolling around in my head and all the esoteric stuff that I've studied, all of it means nothing because it all boils down to my relationship to
So
the universe based on love, that I glory in that. I open myself up to that. I said, bring it on.
so beautiful. I
Right.
did remember she talked about parking space in one of her tapes. I was
Really?
listening
Yeah,
to.
it was
Yes,
like a
I
magic.
remember.
All of her friends would blow away. I mean, there was always a parking space for Louise. It was like, holy moly.
That's that's beautiful. Thank you, and you're blessed. We're all blessed.
Blessings to all.